Good afternoon, everybody, which is not something I usually get to say for North American matches here in CGL, but we do have an NA match in our PCNA Open Tier upper bracket. It's the semifinals between Red Team and Valentine. I'm joined by Dexatron. Dex, you ready to get this match underway?
I am absolutely ready to get this match underway in Fletch. We have a great one on our hands here. The only undefeated team in the regular season going up against the only team that has actually beat them so far this season. Back in the mid-season term, where Valentine beat Red Team. I believe you said it was 3-1, right?
It was 3-0 in the mid-season tournament, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a revenge game here for Red Team, which is a rare thing for us to say for Red Team, considering, like I said, undefeated, known as one of the best teams in PC and console here in CGL. And I mean, look at this lineup. You really get to see why. Hopeful and Walleyes on the DPS line, Jacko as your tank, and Evergreen and the Mighty Brig as your support line. I mean, Fletch, this is a very solid team.
Yeah, I mean, Red Team is one of those console teams that's just got history on history behind them. Multi-time CGL champions as a console team, and now they're fighting for top 3 in the PC Open Tier bracket against, I mean, a really, really strong team on the other side in Valentine. We've got Snozzler and Remosu on the DPS, Mari on the tank, and AJMR and Chamanzi on the support. I mean, you know, I know a lot of these names from, you know, Calling All Heroes or Kunoichi, but I can definitely see why this team went 7-1 and came in second place in our mid-season tournament. This team is scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a lot of well-known names if you have been around watching Calling All Heroes or Kunoichi. As well as, I mean, if you looked at the Overwatch Face It here just a couple days ago, they said that this was one of the top 16 teams going into it here. So a really good team on paper. And, I mean, trying to get to the winners final here, going up against a team they've already beat once this season. I mean, they have to be coming in this one high, but Fletch, we know where we're going to be heading here for our first map of the night, and it's kind of become the normal map now because Li Zhang's not here. It's Nepal.
Yeah, I mean, Nepal, it's just... It's kind of that second place, like the little brother, right, to Lijiang Tower. And because the bigger brother isn't in the map pool, Nepal is just where people say, hey, I know how to play that map. We've been playing that map for 7 damn years. And so it's just become the norm as the first map here. It's very, very strong and just about whatever you want to do, right? If you want to poke, if you want to dive, if you want to play rush, you know, it's good for all of them. But I'm really, really interested to see what these teams are going to come out with, especially with the recent Orisa nerfs.
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch the earlier stream today for CGL, there was not an Orisa shown in that. It was only Ramatra for the most part. And I mean, that kind of doesn't surprise me. That seems to be what everyone has kind of been going towards here. Jacko, though, right now potentially coming out on the Winston would be a really fun thing to see. But outside of that, I think you're basically seeing what we'll see throughout the majority of the series here. The only change would be maybe we see the Soldier swapped out for the Cassidy, because Cassidy is in a really good spot right now. A lot of people playing him at the moment. But I do like if Red Teams actually come out on this dive comp, it might catch this Valentine team off guard.
All right, here we go. It's Nepal Sanctum for the first submap here. A little bit of difference in ideologies as we get into map number 1. Mari and Valentine have taken over the pit side with the pillars. They have this early positioning, and you see Evergreen trying to jump on Mari, trying to boop this Ramatra off of the map entirely. Now you see Remosu in the backline trying to deal with Hopeful, and the whole gang is there to take down the Tracer of Red Team, and without Hopeful in the fight, oh, that's actually a really incredible trade by Leo. Snozzler goes down here, and the fight is even, and Jacko almost goes off the map at the hands of Chamanzi, but with that Ravenous Vortex, Jacko cannot jump away, but the health pools of Valentine are not looking very strong right now, and that Lucio can only provide so much healing to Mari, and it's not enough as Hopeful returns to the fight to take down this Ramatra. Red Team looks to put this point in their favor right now. Remosu throws out the pulse bomb, but it's just a prayer, one that's not answered, and Red Team gets the first flip.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call that a prayer. That was just a hope, and it found absolutely nothing there. But yeah, you even brought up in that fight the fact that they lost AJMR was such a detriment to Valentine, because they honestly should have won that point there first. But now Mara going over to the Roadhog instead. Look at what that does here to Red Team. They don't necessarily want to engage early. They want to wait a little bit. They want Valentine to engage on the point, and then you see the dive there from Jacko, probably followed up by the Kitsune Rush from Goldia.
All right. So the jump will come through from Jacko as Hopeful tries to keep Ramosu in check in the back line. Just a little bit longer. Now jumping onto this Tracer, has to recall after going off the map temporarily, but Pulse Bomb from Hopeful not going to find Snozzler, as Snozzler finds 2, almost 3 there. Under a little bit of pressure, but not scared of anything here, as Valentine will take the flip.
Yeah, and a very interesting fight there for Red Team, because honestly, like I said, when I saw Jacko dive onto the point, I thought we'd see the Kitsune Rush to follow it up, but they didn't use it there. Instead, now Red Team going to come back into this next engagement with 3 ultimates. Valentine not necessarily going to have the ultimates to respond to it, so they're actually in a really good spot to quickly win a team fight and come back here. But you're still looking for someone like Jacko to make that space so Hopeful and Leo can find the opportunities to find a lot of damage and even some picks.
All right, Mari's hooks go wide as the Kitsune Rush comes out from Goldie, as does the overclock from a Leo. You see Shimanzi just playing it safe up in that corner, gonna get out alive for the time being. Finally, Hopeful will be able to track down Mari for that first pick, as Red Team will push the aggression into the spawn of Valentine. Whoa!
And like I said, Red Team had all those ultimates right there. Valentine really didn't have anything. And it was such a key pick to find Mari right there, because if Mari was able to stay alive, Valentine would have had a really quick re-engage into a fight there, getting rid of that tank, slowed everyone down there for Valentine, and forced them to fall back, just causing them to stagger themselves out a little bit more here. But now Valentine in a really good spot, coming up on 4 ultimates, almost 5. They should be able to try to win this point back. You cannot lose someone here early, though.
All right. Mari trying to find something with this hook. Has not been entirely successful thus far, and it will be Snozzler as, hey, Mari just got to prove me wrong right off the rip. Hits the hook onto Evergreen, and getting that Lucio dead is big, as Red Team will just try to continue this hold here. They're going to lose out on Jacko through the whole hog, but Hopeful is trying to put the entire team on his back right now, finding a couple of picks, now being pressured by Ramosu here. The flip did go through to Valentine, but Red Team gonna wrestle it right back. AJMR very, very low, and Red Team's overtime wick has begun to burn.
Yeah, and Valentine's starting to get something going back towards point, but Red Team gonna hold on to it here. Valentine gonna invest ultimates to try to take this point back here, because Red Team really has nothing at the moment.
They have to, as both support ultimates are thrown on to the field of action. Red Team will lose grip of the point, but without that cleanse, you see Red Team, they're going to get hyper aggressive, and you know, it will be a trade of tanks here, so it's going to be a good fight for Red Team, because they've got the ultimates and Valentine does not. Now the kills coming through, it's just desperation touches for Valentine here in this Sanctum map. They lose Evergreen for Red Team. Pulse Bomb is out for onto Mari, that is, and Hopeful going to be able to take out the Doomfist, and Red Team going to be able to clean up Sanctum.
Yeah, and honestly, biggest takeaway from me on that first map was the tank battle was pretty even with the Desperarity and them different in them. The main difference was DPS lines right there. Red Team, Leo, Hopeful, able just to find pick after pick after pick. Snozzler and Ramosu started off hot, but as that map, or as that point kind of went on, they kind of started to even out a little bit, while Hopeful kind of started to pop up everywhere. But now, I mean, look at what we're seeing here. We're seeing Hog from Jacko now. Mari is sticking with the Doomfist at the moment. I might expect a swap from them here if it doesn't necessarily work out. Maybe going back over to something like the Roadhog, but now Red Team coming out with the Queen instead. I actually do really like this pick. That Shout can provide those DPS a little bit more shields to go in and be aggressive, because they've been so aggressive so far, and Hopeful has been just scary.
All right, here we go. Nepal Shrine. Hopeful already found out by Mari. Knows where this Tracer is at, but the doors have been blown wide open. A significant portion of Red Team's damage gone with the death of Leo. Now, Valentine know that they have the numbers and the aggression, but Hopeful just gonna walk in and trade it right back out. Mari gonna try and find something with this punch. Is not gonna be able to find the Lucio themselves, but Snozzler will, and the trades keep coming through. It's 2 for 2 as Leo returns to the fray and sees that Mari is very, very low. And finally, red team, they've got their numbers back and they've got the point on lock.
And they find Ramosu there at the end, but finding or losing Snozzers hurt Valentine so much there because that disrupting shot could really would stop Hopeful and Leo from trying to just sneak around. Getting rid of that, it allowed Hopeful and Leo, who was coming back, to just find those opportunities right there. If you're Valentine, you already see a swap. Mari now going over to the Jungle Queen to mirror Jacko here. You need to get something here early. Yeah, you found Leo out early, but you left Hopeful alive, who now has a pulse bomb, and unless you're going to invest the Suzu onto someone, they're going to be able to find someone else immediately.
Hopeful in the back line all alone is just absolutely walking through Valentine right now. Gets the Tracer gap, gets the Lucio. Gonna keep going. Jacko cleans up 2 with the axe, but red team 50% and counting. They're looking strong.
They're looking strong. If you're Valentine, that was a very, very costly fight because AJMR invested the Kitsune Rush in it, and it almost found 0 value because everyone on the team died. Red team didn't invest in ultimate there either, so you're still holding on to a pulse bomb. And like you said, Fletch, 65% and counting. Valentine needs to get something going here. Yeah, they're going to be able to ultimates this fight, but red team has the ones to counter it.
All right, here we go. Red team building up to damn near 5 ultimates. The first one going to not find a target in Hopeful's pulse bomb. And wow! Hopeful once again just absolutely putting Ramsu in the dirt there. And now red team, they know that they can get aggressive. There's nobody to pressure their backline. Jacko has the rampage, but may not even need to use it here. 90% and counting for red team, and they're just walking into the spawn of Valentine. What a knife to clean up Chamanzi, and that knife is going to clean up Nepal.
Yeah, and like I said at the start of this round here, Ramosu my bad, not Ramosu. I believe it was, yeah, Hopeful has just been absolutely scary. I don't think Hopeful died at all on that second point right there, and you saw the value they were able to bring. The backline was just always in a constant state of agony because Hopeful was right there disrupting anything. You saw 2-3 fights on that map where Hopeful was already in the backline, finding Leo, finding the Lucio there for Valentine. It really did hurt Valentine there to get anything going because you saw them invest that one Kitsune Rush there on that point. That was one of the only ultimates they actually, I think, used in a fight in that point there. And it found nothing. Instead, it was just a nice dive there by red team, winning that map and getting some revenge very early on here, Fletch.
Yeah, they're not getting swept this time. And I mean, red team, we've talked about how historic they are. They've got the experience. They've got championships under their belt. I believe this is their first time running under the PCNA open tier bracket. You know, it hasn't been around for that long, but I mean, the fact that the red team is fighting for top 3 in a PC bracket, I mean, it just goes to show you how strong and how much this team trusts each other to be able to run it down on some very good teams, because Valentine is a very good team, and red team, especially on that shrine, made them look silly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you saw Valentine make a lot of different changes to their tank, especially. Mari tried their best to just keep up with it, maybe try to find some way to just disrupt what red team wanted to do there, but it just wasn't ever able to do that there. Because like I said, the tank battle throughout that first point was pretty even, but it was that DPS line there of Leo and Hopeful that absolutely just stole the show there for red team, because they were just outclassing Valentine's DPS line there so much. But Fletch, map 1's behind us now. We head in here to map 2, where we will be heading to Midtown here. And I mean, when I see Midtown, I mean, you could see a couple different things. You could see poke, you could potentially see a little bit of dive, maybe even a little bit rush. And I know at this point I've said every comp, but I mean, we saw a lot of different tanks be played on that first map. That was a little bit unexpected from myself, considering I've only heard that Ramatra at the moment was like the go-to.
I think it's just that these teams, excuse me, that sneeze from earlier is still messing my throat up right now. But no, I mean, both of these teams, they are very clearly very comfortable on Junker Queen. You know, Mari, their favorite character is Junker Queen to play. So yeah, I mean, from red team, that doesn't surprise me. Jacko looked dominant on Junker Queen on Nepal, and from Valentine, like, they are coming out on this very, very traditional poke composition with the Sigma, with the Ashe, with the BAP, you know, and I think Chimanzi is on the brig because, you know, they might expect red team to be coming out on a dive here, so try and protect AJMR there a little bit, maybe Snozzler. But yeah, this is definitely a very, very different composition for Valentine coming into Midtown.
Yeah, and I mean, Chimanzi, you talked about maybe expecting to see the dive from red team, but I think picking that brig is also just to try to have a little bit more survivability as that support line, because we saw them get absolutely kind of just like we said, Hopeful was just a monster to them. They need to have that shield just to kind of keep them alive here a little bit, but I do like this.
Yeah. The doors have been blown wide open off this barn of Valentine because Jacko, Gracie's very reliable for this guy. Now walking in, I mean, the fight was over before it even began for red team.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the risk you take by, you know, trying to play up a little bit and, you know, land that dynamite, land that accretion, try to get a little bit of ult charge, and it immediately came back to bite them there. And just like you said, not even one true team fight, and the point's gonna be capped here in, I think that was 43 seconds. Might be one of the fastest point caps I've ever seen here. But now, if you're Valentine, you just need to get set up here and try to slow down this cart, because red team now has an incredible time bank here heading into point B push.
5 minutes and 30 seconds is the bank for red team. Monumental to get through for Valentine here. So we will see as they have control of this high ground. You see, Hopeful has to use the recall early, being pressured out here by Ramosu, who is also very, very low in their own right. Now the aggression from red team to take this high ground away from Valentine is there as, I mean, you see Snozzler just trying to ward off this Tracer. The Pulse Bomb not going to find a target as the back track of Valentine going to be good enough to keep them alive for the time being.
Yeah, them getting knocked off the high ground there was great because it allowed them just to kind of play it really safe there. They didn't lose anyone. They also didn't find a kill, but hey, AJMR found Jacko to get everything started here.
Yeah, I mean, Ant Matrix to put Jacko down here is going to be very, very big. There is a fight going on down on the cart, but for now it does seem as though red team wants to play it safe. And well, I say that they want to play it safe. They're still in the subway right now. The sound barrier from Evergreen to keep them in this fight. Ramosu does not have recall, and Hopeful has made sure that Ramosu does not have life here in this fight. The Gravitic Flux only hitting Evergreen is not what Valentine wanted here from that ultimate. Now it's up to Chimanzi to keep this fight rolling with this rally armor. The rally does end up fading away as Jacko almost has this Rampage. Bob came out, Rampage hits 3. Bob down for Snozzler, and the Rampage going to be very, very, very big for red team. You know, they lose Jacko, but look who it is in the left side of the kill feed, because of course it's Hopeful getting all of those final blows.
And you can just talk about red team right now, just their patience with everything. They know when to back out of fights, they know when to engage, they know when to use their ultimates. Every ultimate they used that last engagement was used perfectly. Jacko hit 3 with that Rampage right there, and then focus on Chimanzi, getting rid of them early, got rid of a lot of the healing that Valentine had there, and you just saw him fall one by one by one after that there. And red team, again, over 5 minutes on the start of the time bank here, you still have a lot of time here to play with, but I mean, Hopeful is just... It is just tearing up the game right now, Fletch.
Oh, this guy's disgusting. Like, there, you just can't say anything else. There is a trade. Evergreen does end up going down, but Valentine, they don't have a front line. They don't have a tank right now. The Disruptor Shot going to come out from Snozzler to try and keep Hopeful away, but Hopeful is not scared right now. The aggression still coming through from red team is Valentine. They're struggling to keep it together. The amplification matrix from AJMR is going to ward off the warpath for a little bit on Valentine, but as that fades away, red team are just going to say, hey, we're not scared. We don't have that amp matrix anymore. The overclock from Leo going to find a target there in Snozzler, as this Ramatrix only put their hands up for so long. Mari goes down and red team's warpath continues.
Yeah, but if Valentine can get back out here and contest, I mean, they're coming up on 3 ultimates. However, red team will have 3 ultimates of their own as well.
Touch gonna come through from Ramosu as the cleanse not on time. The pulse bomb hit the ground, but Goldier does go down. I mean, they lose Goldier early, but there's just nothing that Valentine can do to keep up with the unbridled aggression of red team.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, and like I said earlier, red team knows when to disengage from fights and re-engage into them. They did it perfectly there in that last segment. You saw AJMR use that amp matrix to try to just sex them off, and red team backed up, respect that amp matrix, but also allowed them to start playing at some different angles. You started seeing them, rotate all the way around back towards Valentine's spawn, and when that amp matrix went away, you saw red team just pounce on Valentine right there, took no prisoners right there, and just kept on moving. And Fletch, that's 3.5 minutes on the time bank there. That's insane.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 1-minute time bank on Midtown is very good. It's great. Yeah, 3.5 minutes.
Absurd.
That's ridiculous. And now Valentine, I mean, this is, I mean, Mount Everest doesn't, I don't think it effectively tells the story right now. This is a mountain that they have to climb. Olympus Mons, maybe.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, for Valentine. You said it right yourself. This is a mountain to climb, but you cannot climb it in one fell step. You need to have many little steps to get up to that mountaintop here. Valentine, all they need to do here is just complete the map, in my opinion. They need to start building some confidence back up in themselves there, because I think red team might have only had like 4 or 5 deaths that entire round right there. So I think there might be a player on red team who has not died yet this game. Map.
All right, so an interesting comp here for Valentine as we get in. Ramosu is getting aggressive, has to grab the mini health pack, does get the cleanse to stay alive for the Genji here, but Leo gonna make sure that that is not the case forever. And now Mari has no help, no supports, no anything here, as red team are able to swarm Valentine one more time.
And I know you're starting to see the Cyber Ninja be played a little bit more at higher levels, but I still don't necessarily see how the Genji necessarily fits into this, what they're trying to, really get with it. Yeah, it might be the force out the beat, force out of Suzu when the blade pops up, but that's just building up the blade. You need to have a full-on dive kind of comp to run the Genji here, but you're running it with the Junker Queen. But again, Valentine, one opening pick here changes a lot. It gives them some confidence, gives them that one person up, and allows them to go in and be a little bit aggressive here.
All right, and
there it is.
There it is. Yeah, Evergreen going down first. No speed, no healing here, but that is a great trade from Leo. Snozler are going to lose their life. I mean, the trades keep coming through as Leo, is all alone. Leo, it's up to this Sojourn to keep this fight going for red team, and now they've done it well enough as the reinforcements are coming in, as Evergreen returns to the fight. After going down first, they're going to be able to ward off the attack, but AJMR not going to let that slide. Throws out the Kitsune Rush, but the numbers are coming back in spades for red team as well as Valentine. They're gonna get a tick, and red team is going to be happy to let that happen, but they're not gonna let them get any further. The Kitsune Rush gonna come out from Goldie A and will lead to kills upon kills upon kills. Jacko rampages through the streets of New York City and finds all the value in the world.
And honestly, yeah, the rampage found all the value there. Maybe could have held on to it, because I think Valentine was going to lose that fight there anyway. Red team just had so much into it. But red team maybe a little bit over-invested in that fight. 4 ultimates were used. They're still only holding on to that overclock, but Leo has been absolutely on fire with their railgun shots so far this map. But you look at Valentine coming in with 4 ultimates, and they find Jacko first. They're in a great spot.
That is unfortunate, to say the least. Leo and Hopeful are everything for red team right now, and now it's just Leo. The overclock not going to find the value that Leo wanted, and Valentine will finally put their foot into this point and pull out that fire truck.
And it looks like AJMR is No, that's not the masking for repulse.
No,
But
that's
no, yeah. But give Valentine all the credit right there.
Oh,
that was a fight. That was a fight they won using no ultimates, and now they have a great opportunity right here on the second point push to get a great start. And finding Evergreen out early, they're already having that great start. If you invest in ultimate here early, try to maybe say the blade. All there is a Suzu there to stop it.
Where did Hopeful just throw that pulse bomb from? I guess it doesn't matter anymore as the numbers and the kills are going in the way of Valentine right here. And once again, they didn't need to use ultimate.
Oh, that's been the best thing for Valentine is that they're not using the ultimates. They now have a full house. They have 5 ultimates here to go. Red team, not anywhere close to any ultimates. Goldia might be able to build us up here pretty quickly, but it's going to be a fight. So Valentine, I mean, use 1 or 2 here because you know Red team really doesn't have anything.
All right, Red team trying to hold on to this high ground here for just a little bit longer. Now Hopeful pressuring out this Kiriko, who is going to throw out the Kitsune Rush as well as the overclock and the sound barrier for Valentine. And Jacko, no shot. This Junker Queen gets out alive. Mari will make sure of that. And now Valentine are coming in it to point C with, you know, a respectable time bank for themselves.
And like we said, coming into this round, it was all about climbing that high mountain that Valentine had. You need to do it 1 step at a time, and this has been a great start for them. Yeah, they won't have the time back advantage, but Valentine has been on fire here. They did invest 3 ultimates into that last fight, so Red team gonna be in a good spot right here. About to have 4 and all 5 of their ultimates ready to go, but you're still holding onto the blade and this rampage. If you know, combo them up together, force out the beat, maybe even force out the Suzu early, you could find a lot of damage here if you're Valentine. But Red team, I mean, like I said, coming up on 3-4 ultimates and Hopeful going over to the Widow, I mean, this might be scary for Valentine depending on how good of a shot Hopeful is.
Well, I can tell you right now, Hopeful's a pretty damn good shot. Now the Rampage going to come out from Jacko. Hits a few, but AJMR going to clean that up pretty easily with the Suzu. Now Jacko has to play safe around this this block here, as being flanked by Mari is not going to be a comfortable feeling for Jacko. The Rampage going to come out from Mari, going to hit Jacko in the sound barrier to keep this Junker Queen alive, but not for very long, as I mean, they just ripped through that overhealth, and Red team is going to falter here in another fight.
And here's the thing, Red team, I talked about them having 4 ultimates in that last fight, looking very good. They used 3, didn't find a single kill. Losing AJMR there does hurt because you can't use that Kitsune Rush here pretty early. But I want to talk about Ramosu for a moment, holding on to this blade. They're like, at this moment, the blade is nothing more than a threat. It is just threatening a Red team right here, because Red team is wondering when they're going to use it. They know they have it, and AJMR having this Kitsune Rush ready to go here, I mean, that's a really good combo if you're not going to have a nano on you here.
All right, now the Kitsune Rush out from AJMR as Leo going to counter it with the overclock. Chamanzi says, nah, I don't want you to get that value, as it will be Valentine that decided they're going to jump onto Hopeful, but Ramosu gonna pull the Dragon Blade to lock this point up. They have 1 minute and 27 seconds on the clock, which is, you know, a very, very respectable time bank. There's still a long way to go, but that was a great first step.
Bringing that back again, man, steps. Little by little, you're going to get up to the top there. 3.5 minutes was, like we said, an absurd time. 1.5 minutes is an amazing time here for this map. So you cannot really look at what Red team has here. You now need to focus on your own attack here. 1 minute 27. Remember, it almost took them the entire time on that first point to really get anything going, but then they won a fight with nothing. They were coming in with ultimates. They didn't use any. Red team and use all their ultimates the previous fight, so it kind of left them at a little bit of a bad spot. But ever since that point right there, when Valentine 1.1 here on Midtown, they looked like an entirely different team. Like they finally figured something out. And let me just talk about Ramosu here for a moment. I talked about the Genji pick maybe being a pick that wasn't necessarily gonna mesh with what they were trying to do with this comp. It was dead wrong, and I'm happy being proven dead wrong. I mean, Ramosu made this Genji pick work, and they found so much value with it. I mean, the biggest thing for Valentine in that last round was a shut down red team's DPS line. I mean, we talked about so far throughout this entire series, Leo and Hopeful have just been monsters to this Valentine squad. Shutting them down didn't really hurt red team because it just put so much more pressure on Jacko and Goldia to try to get something going early because Leo and Hopeful were kind of lagging behind.
All right. One more shot here for Valentine on the attack. See what they can get. Knife gonna hit for Jacko. Knife gonna hit for Mari as well. Gonna pull Jacko in away from the knife target that they hit. Knife for Mari going to get sent right through 3 people as the cleanse came through right before. As Mari is being pressured out here by Hopeful. They're trying to put some pressure into the back of this Junker Queen as red team have been doing all series long, and now Mari going to be happy to engage with the commanding shout, but do not have that ability any longer. Ramosu trying to find this Kiriko, but the cleanse comes through and Mari goes down as Evergreen picks up a 2-piece here, and Valentine will not be able to keep up here.
And they needed a quick reset right there. Mari, it looks like they swapped off and then swapped right back to the Junker Queen there, so lost all that ult charge, and now you're really only going to have the beat and the Kitsune Rush coming into this fight, while red team, they're going to have basically everything outside of the overclock, so they're in a really good spot right now. But if you're Valentine, you need to get someone to touch the point right here. That's the main goal at the moment.
All right, here we go. Touch going to come through, but Pulse Bomb going to be shoved into Mari's face. The Junker Queen is dead, and with it, the hopes of Valentine getting anything here on their second attack.
I mean, you still do have Shaman here going to stall it out as long as they can, but I don't think Mari is going to be able to get back and really do anything. Just a great defensive round there for red team. Remember, I said Valentine, it took them a decent amount of time to really get anything going there when they capped the first point in their first time around. So, I mean, they need to play a little bit faster, and I thought getting into the Firehouse was a great move by them, but then you lost one member, and it just all went downhill from there, and I believe was it Mari that fell first both times there? I mean, without the Junker Queen, you really lose a lot of the pressure that you can put onto that other team. And, you know, credit where credit's due. I talked about the DPS line for red team kind of falling off a little bit there on Valentine's attack the first time around. They stepped up big time there. Leo and Hopeful did so much just to annoy Valentine, to get them focusing on 2 different angles rather than one there. It worked out perfectly for red team. But if you're Valentine now, the best you can do is tie, and I mean, I think they'll be happy with that. The hardest thing to do, though, is you're basically just playing another defensive round here in the first point, and you can't give up a tick.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be brutal, right? That's like two full rotations for red team, 3.5 minutes. Like, it just can't be understated how big of an advantage going into extra, rounds with 3.5 minutes on the clock is. Valentine, I mean, they've done well to try and scale this mountain. Now red team trying to shove down the side, and now for red team's second attack. The knife not going to find a target there. Gracie returns to Jacko without a person attached. There we go. Jacko going to land this knife onto Mari, who is going to go down first one more time. And red team, they're going to throw out the commanding shout, but oh, it's already over. Valentine is already dead here on Midtown. 1 tick for red team and a map win to move them to match point.
And I mean, again, that tank battle there was pretty even across that map. Jacko, though, came alive, in my opinion, in that overtime rounds. Just did so much to really shut down Valentine's tank that it started to show. It really did. And then again, like I said, Leo and Hopeful, they kind of came back alive as well. Leo found that opening pick there on the Mari, and it was just all downhill from there because red team could just walk freely onto the point without the problem of the Jungle Queen on the other side.
Yeah, Valentine, I'm sure, came into this match with a lot of confidence because of the result of the last time that these two teams played. Red team is absolutely running it down right now, though. I mean, you talked about their extreme patience, but you know that patience is only really strong when it's paired with extreme aggression right after. And red team is, you know, towing that tightrope so damn perfectly. It's like this is textbook Overwatch that we're seeing from red team, right? They're backing off when things are threatening, like when you see, you know, a rampage, an overclock, an amp matrix, right? But then once those things are gone, red team says, okay, there's nothing stopping us from running this team over, and they just do it. So moving forward for Valentine, they need to figure out how to temper their aggression and to deal with red teams.
Yeah, I mean, the shot caller for red team is doing such a great job just calling out when the abilities are coming out, when those ultimates are coming out, and they know when to get out of fights when certain people fall first, whether it be the tank or whether it be Leo for the most part. If one of those two fall first, you normally see him fall back, knowing that a main source of the damage, that frontline damage, is gone. Hopeful, I feel like the couple times we haven't necessarily seen Hopeful die early on in fights. They've normally died mid-fight to late fight. So if you lose the Tanko Leo first, that's a lot of your main frontline damage gone. So they normally back up. They've been an incredibly smart and patient team with that so far. But heading into this break here, Fletch, Valentine has some time here to think.
Yeah, they're going to take a breath. They're going to go next because that's all you can do. So we will see if Valentine going into Flashpoint can stay alive in the upper bracket. So stick around.
Don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till our downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you
All right, welcome back, everybody. And I mean, there's just no way of cutting it other than red team through those first two maps. They've just been the better team. Like, they started out, both of these maps were pretty close, or at least the first map was really, really close. Midtown, you know, Valentine had a good attack, but every time red team had the chance to make the map theirs, they took it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about during the break, we don't think Valentine's necessarily been bad or struggling. It's just that red team has just been playing almost essentially a perfect game. We talked about before break, they know when to disengage, they know when to re-engage, they know when to invest, you know, when not to invest ultimates. Like, they have been good. Valentine, though, we talked about taking little steps there on those last 2 rounds of Midtown, especially their attacking round. I mean, they looked good, and they looked like they had figured something out. But I think that time bank difference was the biggest thing for Valentine there. Now heading to Surabasa, backs against the wall in their upper bracket run. I mean, we might see a little bit of a different team here for Valentine. I think they might have figured something out. The Genji, like I said, looked really good for them, but it took some time to actually build that up. And like I said, the Blade, I don't necessarily think was ever intended to be an ultimate that found kills. It was an ultimate that was there to scare and threaten red team, because they held on to it for a solid 4 minutes.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, right? The absolute biggest thing for Valentine going into the rest of this series, they have to figure out a way to keep Hopeful in check. Because red team is, you know, playing very, very well. They look terrifying right now. The best player on that team right now is Hopeful. Right? Yeah. Hopeful has, like, calling him a pest, it would be an understatement to how much of a nuisance he's been. He's been a vulture in their backlines. I mean, the value that this Tracer on Valentine is, or not Valentine, but red team is finding, I don't think I've seen anything like it in CGL recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I believe that's probably Megalaz who got that shot, because I think she said something about it in the stream earlier today about the Gator. But I mean, the biggest thing we talked about in Valentine's first round where they pushed it on Midtown was the fact that they were able to shut down red team's CPS line and the value they were able to get because of it. It allowed so much more, because Hopeful and Leo were just non-existent that first defensive round they had. But now, I mean, you need to be able to do that again here, and you're bringing up this Queen again. You do find the first pick, but you do also lose too.
Look, it's Hopeful. Like, the whole time you were talking, I was just sitting there watching Chamanzi's health pool go down and down and down. But it's Hopeful. It's always Hopeful.
And you called Hopeful a vulture. I'm gonna say this: they're a leech. They are stuck onto the back line of Valentine here, to the point where Valentine doesn't know where they are. They cannot get rid of them here. And look, 75% to a pulse bomb. They're gonna have a pulse bomb here pretty quickly. And Evergreen.
Yeah, Evergreen meets the business end of Snozzler's railgun there. So a great first pick for Valentine to try and hard engage here. They have the speed and red team does not, but they're not comfortable walking in just yet. They have a crossfire, but finally, Jacko going to receive a shot from Snozzler as well, just like Evergreen did, and finally Valentine are going to be able to find this flip.
And Evergreen staying alive right there is such a big help for red team, because it'll allow them to play very fast. But now Goldia is in a little bit of a sticky situation, and getting rid of Hopeful and Goldia. Fletch, that's exactly what Valentine was looking for there, because now look at them. They're about to have 4 ultimates ready to go here. Red team about to have really only 2, because Evergreen kind of lagging behind in their beat here. So Valentine can play a little bit aggressive here and then fall back when they feel that red team is starting to push again.
Valentine know that they don't have much time to give, so they're trying to take all the space that red team will give them. Now this Kitsune rush out from AJMR as well as Goldie, but Chamanzi just far too late in throwing out the sound barrier to save Valentine's lives, and just like that, red team are very, very close to capping out on market here.
And Valentine, I mean, you can get back here pretty quickly. You're going to have 3 ultimates. Do you want to invest them? Do you even try to get back? I mean, that's the biggest question right now, but Red Team going to have 3 ultimates of their own. So it's going to be a very tough thing for Valentine to do here, but you need to find the value if you're going to contest, and it looks like they're just giving up on it, which, I mean, Fletch, I understand it, but I don't necessarily know if that was the right move to do, especially as it seems like Red Team is close to the next flashpoint.
It's always a crapshoot, right? You never know. The randomness of Flashpoint as Hopeful is stalking, has the pulse bomb ready to go. Just the tracking is immaculate, immediately taking AJMR down to half HP. Hopeful has to use the recall to avoid Snozzler's railgun there. Now Snozzler going to have a whole bunch more of said railgun. Pulse bomb out from Hopeful, not going to find a target as Mari decides to come in and rip Red Team apart.
Now let's talk about pulse bombs here for a moment. I think we've seen 2 kills on pulse bombs throughout this entire series. We've at least seen 10 pulse bombs. So pulse bombs just have not been finding the value, but Hopeful has been finding the value on this Tracer. Now, because of that great fight win there by Valentine, I mean, look at what they have. They have a blade, which, again, might just be more used as a threatening blade, but they have this Rampage, and Red Team would have to force out the beat to probably use it, and now Ramosu falls, so does Valentine invest in this fight here?
They should not. They cannot anymore. They can't invest anymore, as Valentine are going to falter here at, about 50%. Red Team going to take over. Where's Hopeful?
Here's the thing. We've talked about how great they've been this series. They haven't really been shut down. They can play very dangerously and feel comfortable knowing that they're going to escape here. But Valentine, you're still holding on to this Rampage and Blade. The Rampage needs to be there to force out the beat or the Suzu. But Goldia coming up on this Kitsune Rush as well puts Red Team in a very, very scary situation as well here for Valentine, because they have the ultimate to counter out anything that Valentine does.
Kitsune Rush and Sound Barrier thrown by a Red Team here, as God, who looks in the kill feed and sees Hopeful getting the first pick. I know I didn't expect it, as Hopeful picked up another 3-piece.
And 2 ultimates invested there by Red Team. I mean, you can talk about the usage of both support ultimates in one fight, but on Flashpoint, I mean, that guarantees you 30, maybe 40%. But Snozzler finding Leo here might force Valentine to play a little bit fast, but finally a pulse bomb stick. Won't find anyone, though.
But they've got a long way to go here. They have to touch the point. They get the touch, but Jacko, the bleed from the Rampage, going to be able to put Mari down. As a Red Team, they have the numbers, and we're moving to map match point for Red Team.
And Valentine, I mean, that's the beat into that fight, trying to just guarantee him maybe a little bit more survivability on the point, but it didn't work out for them. However, I mean, gonna have 3 ultimates coming into the next and potential final flashpoint, and oh god, everything is just going Valentine's way here. Yeah, some players will be a little bit late to the party here, but you still have Red Team, especially with Hopeful on this off angle, looking like they're gonna be able to have a lot of damage here early.
All right, the aggression going to come through from Valentine. They know they need it. The Dragon Blade finally going to be pulled by Ramosu. Cuts down Leo, but the trades are constant and always there for Red Team. It's 3 for 3 as AJMR has to run away, save their own life, as Hopeful, 13 HP. The flip will go to Red Team, though.
And I mean, Valentine's going to be able to get some numbers there first, but Red Team's going to come right back in with numbers of their own and some ultimates.
Oh, big stick, but it's a cleanse immediately by a AJMR. He does get cleaned up by Goldie, but now the aggression. Oh, whoa.
Oh, that seems like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they just realized that this was over.
Yeah, no, they're asking for a pause. But hey, I mean, if you're Valentine, you take that little hiccup there with what looked like to be a little bit of a disconnect. But now you're holding on to this point. You have some ultimates. You did just invest a couple to win that fight, but you now need to reverse sweep this map to even have a chance to reverse sweep the series here, or at least get it started. That's a very uphill battle again, and Fletcher, back to the same kind of scenario we're talking about on Midtown. Just you need to take one step at a time here. But on Flashpoint, I mean, those can't be small steps. Those have to be very, very quick steps. And it seems like we're getting right back into it now. And Valentine, I thought they maybe had one more ultimate in their back pocket. They don't. Red team walking in this next engagement with pretty much 4 once the fight breaks out is going to be very, very detrimental for Valentine here to know when to disengage.
Ramosu has now gone over to the Tracer as well, so this fight, it's going to be rough here for Valentine as they overclock the Kitsune Rush. All of it comes out and everything is going in the way of Red Team as Leo continues to find these railguns and Hopeful continues to track like a maniac.
And while we've been praising the DPS line here for Red Team, let's give Jacko a huge shout out as well. I mean, their knife throws have been incredible. We've talked about them a lot just in the span of fights, just how accurate they are with them. But Jacko landed a knife there on Amari that pulled her back onto the point there so that they couldn't escape when that disengaged from their team there. And now they're still holding on to 2-3 ultimates right now. Red Team is. They're in a very good spot. Valentine, though, about to have a beat. They might invest that here early just to try to get something going on point.
Valentine have some things that they can invest here. Both sound barriers, both teams. Rampage comes out, hits 3. Jacko very low, cannot get away from the damage of Valentine, who are going to be able to take this flip. Red team, they're looking a little unhealthy, but they're going to, maybe not be happy to, but they're going to be content to let Valentine walk away with this one.
Yeah, but Hopeful is still around somewhere. Maybe gonna try to get one more tick here, but with losing Leo there, I don't necessarily know if that's a smart move to do here. And no, Red Team gonna let that point go over. And now, I mean, if you're Valentine, you know that you have the closer spawns for the most part to these final 2 points. You are coming up onto 2 ultimates. Same thing, though, could be said for Red Team, about to come up on 3. But winning the first fight here is the biggest thing for Valentine. You cannot allow Red Team to take back this momentum that you just got. And you're going to start off with the Kitsune, which is exactly what I would have done.
Well, it just doesn't mean anything because Jacko and Leo have already found 1 pick each. Jacko for a second there as Hopeful cleans up the fight, and just an unfortunate play there for Valentine as Red Team are going to get this first flip on Ruins.
And, I mean, it's the second time now from Valentine that we'd seen a Kitsune Rush come out from them to engage into a fight, just backfire on them. But like I said, I think that was the right move for them. They wanted to play aggressive. It just didn't come back to, it didn't come back to help them here. Red Team now, because of that, I mean, they're going to have 4 ultimates. They're in a really good spot to just close out this map and this series here. If you're Valentine, though, you just need to find something here. Opening pick, Snozler does have this overclock. If you pop that off now, maybe find this Tracer in your backline, you might have an opening.
Snozler pops the overclock, has to sidestep the pulse bomb from Hopeful, trying to find something, anything with this ultimate, but Evergreen diving with Hopeful, and the Rampage comes out from Jacko, and I mean, Valentine, they've got 1 shot.
And honestly, if I'm Valentine, I would start considering maybe making those last ditch effort swaps here. Snozler going over to the Soldier seems to be the only one at the moment. Everyone else could be sticking with what they have here, but they're going to be walking into a very, very ultimate heavy team at the moment with the Kitsune Rush and the overclock from Red Team. Going to have the beat as well. Chimanji, though, has to stay alive enough to build their own beat.
All right, Ram Osu does get the touch here now. Leo going to pop that overclock as Ramosu, has this pulse bomb, wants to put Leo down, but that's not the Sojourn that Valentine wanted dead. Snozler goes down. Mari's able to take down Jacko, but Red Team just gonna sock it to Valentine in this series. They move on to the upper bracket finals in a grudge match against Valentine. I mean, they flipped the script in its entirety.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about how good this Red Team was coming into it. I mean, undefeated on the season, one of the best teams in, essentially, let's just say it straight here, and in NA here for CGL. Great team on the console side, great team here on the PC side. Valentine, I mean, a very, very formidable foe here, and it was all about revenge, in my opinion. They were not happy they were swept in the mid-season tournament, so they made sure they sent Valentine down to the lower bracket here in the end-of-season tournament. I mean, a great showing here for Red Team, and honestly, Fletch, I feel like this Red Team might be one of the scariest teams that we've ever seen in CGL.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking terrifying right now, right? You've got red team, you've got short bus, you've got a tracer master of their own in Akaza. I don't think I've ever seen, specifically in console Overwatch, I've seen a lot of really good tracer gameplay from, Akaza is the main one that comes to mind, but I don't even think I've ever seen Akaza dominate an entire series that hard, as hard as we saw Hopeful play there. All of Red Team that series, right? They were smart, they were tempered, they were level, right? But it's not a stat that Overwatch tracks, but first blood at the hands of Hopeful, it had to be 80% of all the fights that Red Team took. I can only think of like 3 or 4 team fights that Valentine properly won out without taking like heavy casualties. And most of those fight wins were at the hands of Hopeful finding that first pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with the changes that we saw on Tuesday here, or yesterday, with, big reason why we didn't see Orisa here anymore. And a lot of people kind of thought maybe Tracer kind of falls off a little bit because of that. But no, Tracer might be stronger than ever just because of how much you have to rely on someone shutting down the supports now. And Red Team, without even not playing the Orisa, they played a Junker Queen throughout. It looked incredible. We talked about Amari looked great, and you have to give them credit there. And we talked about it throughout this entire series, that DPS line, that tank, that support line, though. We didn't talk about them enough, but Fletch, I think me and you can always say this. If you don't talk about the support line in a game of Overwatch, they're doing their job perfectly. The only reason you're talking about them is if they are struggling or if they are taking over the game.
I will say, Evergreen did die a lot. I think Evergreen probably had the most deaths on Red Team, but that's not to say it was bad. That was just an aggressive Lucio style. That even in the fights where Evergreen was the first casualty, it felt like Red Team kind of expected it to happen, and they were able to play around the fact that Evergreen was probably going to die, which is just another layer on to how Red Team plays Overwatch, with this like tempered, patience for 2 seconds, and then the rest of it is just all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, hey, Fletch, Evergreen might have just essentially been bait for Red Team, allowing Hopeful to get into that backline, because that Lucio might have been out too far a couple times there, but Hopeful finding the backline for Valentine was just so key to this series here. And we talked about it a lot here. Scary team, but Valentine, they're a good team in their own right here. They had been sweeping teams all the way up until this point here. So dropping down to the lower bracket, I think they're one of the scariest teams down that lower bracket here at the moment.
Yeah, and I just want to say that we're getting down to the point in the playoffs where it's a lot of really, really strong teams. And even the 4 teams before this match that were in the upper bracket they're all scary. Valentine, they're going to be fine. They're going to be here for a while to come, right? I do think that they are one of the best in this PC bracket. But when you look at this bracket, you've got the likes of Red Team, Valentine, Nexus, who won the first the mid-season tournament, formerly known as Crazy 88s, and then Shikigami, who are consistently, in the running for OWCS recently, right? So you've got 4 really, really good teams in this upper bracket, and somebody has to win, right? That's the crazy part about these tournaments, is that somebody has to win. And it's always the best when you can never really expect what's going to happen, because I did not expect a Red Team sweep today. I thought that Red Team could definitely win this game. I did not expect them to dominate like they did.
And I'm right there with you. Valentine came into this series. I looked at their season record. You told me that Valentine beat Red Team in the midseason tournament. I thought, we might have a very good back and forth series on our hands, but it was anything but that. And Fletch, like you said, you're getting, as we start to whittle down teams, it becomes that crunch time where you're going to see some juggernauts face off against each other. And because of that, really, you're not going to want to miss the rest of the CGL playoffs here.
Yeah. Lot of great Overwatch to come in this season 13 of CGL. Thank you all for watching. Whoever came in to check out the match. Red team, they move on to the top 3. They're in the winners finals of the PC Open bracket, and Valentine, unfortunately, will fall to that lower bracket, but they're not done. Unfortunately, this stream is done. So thank you all for watching, and I think that we will have another stream on tonight for another NA game. So come check that out. Turn on the notifications. Keep an eye on Twitter. Might send out a cheeky notification for that, but should be a lot of fun and a lot more fun to come. So have a great, I guess, day, everybody, because we're finishing an NA game at 4:30, which is unheard of, but have a great rest of y'all's evening.